All right, Fantasy Nation, jumping into the most fun division in football in my mind in terms of fantasy, viewership, just watching as an NFL fan, a non-football fan, this division is going to be amazing. It's the AFC West. We've got four teams with extremely potent offenses, pretty good defenses. I think the Chargers might be the most improved defense in the league. But let's start out with the Denver Broncos, who made a splash with Russell Wilson, bringing him in as their new quarterback, shipping Drew Lock off to Seattle along with Noah Fant and some picks. Just incredible. This team goes from being irrelevant to instant Super Bowl contenders, in my opinion. I love the Broncos. I'm not going to pick them to win this division just yet. I think there's probably going to be a bit of a bumpy start here, although they do play the Seahawks in week one, so maybe not necessarily week one, but over the course of the first half of the season, they're going to be feeling each other out. This is going to be the first year that Russ has really had an electric offense with weapons at his disposal, both in the backfield, out wide. He's got a star tight end in the making with Alberto. This is just all great stuff. New coaching staff though, so like some of these other teams that we talked about, bringing in new coaching staff, new schemes, new style of offense, it's going to take some getting used to. So not to say they won't be electric, but it might take some time. Let's first talk about the new head coach. So Nathaniel Hackett, he comes over from Green Bay. He's been an offensive coordinator for 8 seasons now. He's with the Bills, the Jags, and then most recently with the Packers. When he was in Green Bay with Rodgers at quarterback, Aaron was a top 9, maybe even top 5 quarterback a couple of times. So we can expect that for Russ, right? This is not a quarterback downgrade. If it is, it's very, very slight. And if you look at the overall weapons that he has, it's probably a better situation. And not probably, it definitely is a better situation in Denver than it was in Green Bay for Hackett and for Russ. So I think Russ, his ceiling is QB3. I think that's probably about as high as he can go. He could have a QB1 overall season, but again, I don't think he's going to rush quite as much. We're not going to see him using his legs in terms of yardage and touchdowns, but he of course will be scrambling out of the pocket the way he does all the time, or did all the time in Seattle. We're going to see that in Denver too, just creating plays. But look what Hackett did with Blake Bortles when he was in Jacksonville. I mean, the guy finished 9th in points among quarterbacks in 2016. Can't imagine what Russ is going to do with this guy calling the shots. So really positive touchdown regression, yardage regression for Russ. He's going to have a monster season. One thing with Hackett is his offenses usually feature the passing attack more heavily than the run game. So I think this is good news for Russ. Hackett's already said he's going to let Russ cook. So we'll see if he does just that. But he's going to be in for a big season either way. For the running backs, they've all had success under Hackett. We all know Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette back in 2017 in Jacksonville. And then, of course, TJ Yeldon was an RB14 in the 14 games under Hackett back in 2018. So I like Javonte Williams here. I don't think Melvin Gordon's as big of a factor as people are worried about. I'm fine taking Javonte in the second round. I think come this time next season, Javonte Williams is a top 3 overall pick in fantasy drafts. And he would have been that if Melvin Gordon wasn't re-signed. So he's a fun player. He is a no-brainer second-round draft pick. To me, he's right up there with Travis Kelce. If you have the option between Kelce and Javonte, it's a toss-up. But you're going to have more fun with Javonte. Kelce, you know what you're going to get, right? Tyreek's out of town, so Kelce's probably going to eat. With Javonte, it's kind of the unknown. He's a monster. We know he's really good. Is the volume going to be there? I'm betting yes this season. I think it will be. I don't think Melvin Gordon's as much of a factor. And then, just going right down the list here, they've wide receivers, they're stacked. Devontae Adams had no trouble with Hackett. I think we see similar production for Cortland Sutton. He's going to be the guy. I'm not buying the hype around Jerry Jeudy. I got to see it. The guy's always injured. He's got to get on the field first. With Sutton, pretty amazing. He has a career 38% end zone target share. And that was with Drew Lock. So as his quarterback for the majority of the time. So that's pretty impressive. His new QB, Russ, has been top 2 in end zone pass attempts in 3 of the last 4 years. So that bodes well for him. He's going to be the red zone target. All the reports coming out of camp say that Cortland is his go-to guy when he's scrambling too. He's always looking his way. They're buddies. They're eating together. Whatever the narrative is, it's there. And Russ has also supported top 15 wide receiver every year since 2015. So I think that's Sutton. I think he's top 15. I actually think he finishes top 10 at the position. And he does have that upside to finish top 3. If they really do let Russ cook and he's airing it out deep, it's going to be to Sutton. And Russ still throws one of the prettiest deep balls in the game. Javonte Williams, he's another guy I'm targeting there. Like I said, he broke a tackle on 31% of his carries last year. That was the highest rate from a running back since 2006. That's a pretty big sample size there. In his only game with 20 touches, he put up 29.8 fantasy points. So if the volume's there, he's going to crush. The Broncos, obviously, they dropped Melvin Gordon's salary before bringing him back. So that should say something. I think they dropped it by like almost 70% from last year. I think we're looking at an absolute monster season for Javonte. And then KJ Hamler is like a deep league flyer. He's a good late round pick. He is top 1% speed all time, top 10 in separation as a rookie, and now he gets Russ's deep ball. So a lot of upside there. Their week 1 opponent is the Seahawks. They're traveling to Seattle. Every narrative there I'm buying for Russ and the Broncos. It's going to be a payback game. You guys didn't let me cook. This is what would have been in Seattle if you had allowed me to do that. So they're going to spank them. Big season coming. Love Nathaniel Hackett. That's a great guy to lead the squad. And then, of course, they have the new offensive coordinator, Justin Allen, as well. So big things ahead there. Next team on our list, Kansas City Chiefs. They're always fun. They lost Tyreek Hill, so a lot of people are expecting that offense to come crashing down to earth a little bit this year. Obviously, Mahomes was a little shaky last season. A few more interceptions than we're used to seeing him throw. Threw into some double coverage. A few times questionable decision making. Maybe that was Tyreek. Who knows? Tyreek's out of town. They bring in Sky Moore. They draft him pretty early in that draft. I believe that was a 2nd round draft capital. But I love Sky Moore. I just don't know what his role is yet. They bring in Juju. Juju seems like the go-to guy. He's going to be playing in the slot. But Sky Moore, he's got all the metrics. He looks like he could be the guy for Mahomes. Top 1% college target share. He was the number 1 rookie in beating zone coverage last season and number 2 wide receiver in beating man coverage. Playing an offense with Mahomes, that's going to get you some targets, and you're probably going to do some good stuff with those targets. This offense has 53% of their targets up for grabs with Tyreek out of town, as well as a couple others. They bring in MVS. Maybe he's the field stretching deep threat. Maybe Sky Moore contributes there. But this guy will get a chance. I just think it'll be 3, 4, 5 weeks in before we really see him involved in that offense. But yeah, fun team. I'm targeting Juju. I'm targeting Sky Moore. As far as running backs, maybe Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco. He's kind of been the preseason star for the backfield there. Everyone else I'm out on. No thank you, CEH. He burned me too many times. Ronald Jones, no thank you. Jerick McKinnon, probably not. I'm staying away from that backfield, but Pacheco's worth that late round, flyer. Moving ahead to, I should say too, their week 1 opponent, Arizona Cardinals. That'll be a shootout. A lot of offense there, so you want to get your fantasy team off to a hot start, right? That's a good game to choose. Both DFS season long. You want exposure to Chiefs, Cards in Arizona, and in the Dome. That's going to be a lot of points. And then Las Vegas Raiders. They have new head coach, Josh McDaniels. He comes in from the Patriots. New offensive coordinator, Mick Lombardi. McDaniels is taking on his 2nd head coaching job. Didn't really work out from the first time, but he'll be calling plays with what should be one of the best passing attacks and overall offenses in the NFL. He's produced 7 top 10 finishes and another 6 in the top 20 in terms of offense. His wideouts have produced 1,000+ seasons 7 times, and receivers have brought in 90 or more passes on 9 different occasions when he's the OC. So this, of course, is good news for Devontae Adams as well as some of those other guys. I think Hunter Renfrow is going to continue his dominance in the slot. And I think this bodes well for Darren Waller as well. You look at what McDaniels did with the Patriots, with Gronk, turned him into a Hall of Famer. He had some top 10 tight end finishes. I think it was 4 times, finished 11th once. Darren Waller's going to eat in this offense. There's just, there's only so many targets to go around. So I'm a little weary of that. I want to see who is the go-to for Carr, because it seems like that was Renfro. At times it was Waller when he was healthy. Now you bring in Devontae Adams, his old college teammate at Fresno State. Who knows? And maybe they spread it around, they all eat, but for fantasy reasons, I would be a little nervous pulling the trigger on Devontae Adams early. I think he's going to have a good season, but he's not going to produce the way he did in Green Bay when he was Aaron Rodgers' right-hand man. I mean, he was an extension of Rodgers, right? Rodgers would get rid of the ball before Adams even stuck his foot in the ground to cut, and they were on the same page. It's going to take a little bit of time for Carr to get on that same page with Devontae Adams, but I do want some exposure in this offense. A lot of good players. One other quick note on the wideouts: the 13 times the receivers finished in the top 20 under McDaniels, 8 have come running most of their routes out of the slot. So that's good news for Hunter Renfrow. We think about guys like Edelman in New England. So I don't think he's going to be a top 10 receiver, but I think he is a bargain at his ADP right now. So. And as far as running backs, McDaniels likes to have committees, so this is going to be a committee approach. Zamir White, the rookie's going to get some carries. Josh Jacobs will certainly lead the pack there. Good to see them get rid of Kenyon Drake. He lands in Baltimore, but still this backfield is complicated. I don't really want any part of that. And then looking at the LA Chargers, my pick to win this division. I think they make a deep playoff run, but I just don't see them beating the Bills. They're right up there with the Colts, in my opinion, as teams that are going to take that next step and really contend with Buffalo. But I think this is Buffalo's year. I just don't see them beating them. A couple of guys I have my eye on in the Chargers offense. Obviously, you love Eckler, you love Herbert. I think Herbert is a good bet to win MVP this season. But you love Mike Williams and Josh Palmer. Those are the 2 wide receivers. Keenan Allen is he's going first of the group. I believe he's going right around the 2nd, 3rd round of drafts. I prefer waiting an additional round or 2, snagging Mike Williams. I think he's a sneaky top 10 wide receiver this season. He just set career highs in targets, receptions, receiving yards. Got a $20 million per year payday in the offseason. Keenan Allen's efficiency has kind of dipped the last 3 seasons, and Mike Williams is just continuing to get better and better. So if he stays healthy, look out. He was trending towards being a top 10 wide receiver last season, then kind of got dinged up and came crashing back down to earth. But I think he figures it out this year, puts it all together. Josh Palmer, if anyone gets hurt, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, like we said, he gets dinged up, he plays physical football. Josh Palmer, he's going to start for the Chargers as their 3rd wideout this year, but he's got room to grow. He played 69% of the snaps to close out the year, proving that he is a part of their future, right? We like to look at the final few games of the 2021 season carrying over into this year. He was really starting to catch his stride there. But for 70% of last season, Guyton started ahead of him. Then it started to, tailor back. It started to look like Palmer was taking over that 3rd wide receiver role. And then towards the end of the year, it was clear that Palmer was that guy. And in the 3 games that Palmer started last season, he averaged 15.8 points per game. So just for reference, Jamar Chase averaged 15.5 points per game last season. So obviously that's over the course of a full season. Palmer, smaller sample size, but the sky's the limit for him. So look out. And I want a lot of exposure on this Chargers team. If you can't spend that early draft capital on a guy like Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, you just don't have a top pick to get Austin Eckler. Mike Williams is my guy, and Josh Palmer is certainly someone that I'm targeting towards the very end of my draft. And that was the most exciting division, in my opinion, in football. So that was a fun one to do. Hopefully it was helpful. Next up, we have my Giants in the NFC East. Should be a fun one. Tune in.